Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on July 22nd, 2022. Uh, for the next three podcasts after today's, it will be pre recorded because I'll be taking my annual sabbatical in the wilderness. Uh, so please be aware of that. But okay, so today let's take a look at the situation as we go into the summer. Uh, First of all, let's step back a little bit and look at the big picture. And what we're dealing with is a problem that has been built up for literally decades. We're talking about like the Club of Rome in the early 70s and stuff, where they had this big decision that we have overpopulation, that we had to, remove the world's population, reduce it, etc. And at a very high level, ever since then, they have been at the highest level of world power, especially Western power, working on ways to stop us from having children. Uh, they deliberately flooded our daily products with hormone disrupting chemicals, with sperm killing agents. They've also carried out policies, including, for example, places like Rwanda, actual genocides to enforce this misguided view that they had to reduce the world's population. The fact is, we do not have too many people. If you took all, apparently soon it's going to be 8 billion people on Earth, you could fit them in like a little 50 square mile grid. If you gave them each a Chinese style subsistence farm, you could fit them all in Texas. So what we're dealing with is incompetence in management, not overpopulation. There's no reason why we could not have, for example, 50 billion people and double the amount of nature preserves at the same time with competent management. This is what we're hoping to initiate once this old regime is gone. Now, the thing is that the people in power, of course, they're very clever, they're very powerful, very evil, and they're not going quietly into the night. We have asked them repeatedly and politely to help finance this new project, and they have responded with Fukushima, with COVID, and God knows what else they have planned. And so, we really have no choice at this point. They are going to be removed. Now, I know a lot of them have been, but we still see, when you still see some goofball like Macron or Biden on everyone's TV sets, you know that it's not over. I've heard another announcement of the so-called actor being Biden getting COVID. I don't know what that means. It probably means that they're going to put an end to that show, hopefully. In any case, the summer, we'll see things churning in a bit of a holding pattern, I suspect. And if we do it right, we can finish this autumn. It's happening everywhere around the world now. We notice the Dutch farmers have shut down that country for good reasons. Now I know these people in the World Economic Forum say we got to do organic farming, etc. Well, you know what? The Prime Minister of Sri Lanka said, "Oh, okay," and the problem with organic farming is you could only support maybe a tenth of the amount of people we have now with it. So you can't just suddenly do that, or you'll have mobs marching on your presidential palace. So you can't just magically change millennia of practice or just with a switch of the pen. And so something's going to happen there. Now, the other thing, of course, is that the Western model itself is fundamentally flawed. Okay, the countries that are under the system of the G7, the collective West, and even China to some extent, the model they use now reduces population. It leads to people not wanting to have children. So China now, they're not having children. Japan's running out of children. Korea's running out of children. Any country that follows their model ends up setting up a system where people don't want to have families. And this is, of course, in the West, where the population is shrinking and it's not being replaced through, birth, through childbirth. The other problem with the model is that it leads to an incredible concentration of wealth in 0.01% of the population. This has happened especially since the Nixon shock of 1971, when they took the US dollar off the gold standard. What this meant was that a secret group was able to create money out of nothing, and they would hand it out, very secretly to their buddies and the elites. But essentially, it's theft. Okay, they're saying, okay, I've just put $1 trillion in this computer in the bank, and so everybody owes me $1 trillion, and they suck that $1 trillion out from the rest of the world. And this is the fundamentally flawed system that's now being dismantled. I did hear from a member of the Dragon family. This, by the way, is a European royal, not some Asian, okay, who said that the gold has been taken away from the BIS and from the Federal Reserve Board, that they are no longer viable or functioning, and that something else is going to happen. Now, hopefully, if we get this all done right, this fall, we will have the fundamental framework for a new beginning, okay? And this is going to definitely mean a jubilee. It has to have a jubilee, okay? There's got to be a write-off of all debt worldwide, public and private. And there's got to be a redistribution of assets. All the money that was stolen by the families that own the Fortune 500 corporations through fiat money will be returned to the people. This will be done after careful study. We're not going to punish genuine entrepreneurs who created value. We don't want to, make it so these people don't have an incentive to do business, but everything parasitical will be removed from the system. So there's a lot of work cut out for us. We're hoping that there'll be some negotiations this summer and that we can get it started and that they'll hand over peacefully. But if not, then there's going to be a lot of turmoil. There's going to be a lot of people being dragged from their offices and their homes and taken. I heard the secret space program people have been doing it, that they've got places in Tierra del Fuego, Diego Garcia. I know that Guam is another place where they're taking these people. Also, the Thule Air Base. In any case, a wholesale purge is continuing. But as long as we see, goofball criminals, obvious and open criminals like Justin Castro, Emmanuel Macron, Joe Biden on your TV sets, and it's not over. So, in any case, the summer is a good time to charge your batteries. Now, every year I go back to Canada. I spend my time in the wilderness. I fast. That clears all the toxins out of my system. The first few days, my urine is brown. That's the poisons coming out. And then senescent cells, everything else is purged from the system. I also do a digital detox. I don't look at the internet. I don't look at email. I just cut off, concentrate on swimming and nature and reading books and just getting away from this whole digital nightmare that we've created. But I have, there are supposed to be some meetings happening this summer, and maybe I'll be participating, maybe not. I'll certainly let you know if I am, but I'm expecting everything to be in a holding pattern for the next month or so. If not, you can be sure that I will get back on and let people know what's happening. So that's the other thing. Finally, I've noticed something that's happening to everybody I know. They've been hit by some kind of negative force. Now, They used to say about like hallucinogens and these mind-altering drugs, you have what's known as a bad trip. So, for example, if you're feeling slightly uncertain before you take the drug, and then you get this bad trip, and it becomes full-blown paranoia, and they're gonna kill me. That's the sort of bad trip thing. Well, I suspect that these people have some kind of electromagnetic technology that amplifies anything negative. So any slight problem with your tooth will becomes a massive toothache. Any little, thing in your throat becomes a full-blown lung thing. So there's some kind of huge final attack taking place. So please avoid negativity. The best way to fight a negative is with a positive, and hunker down, because these people must not be underestimated. And now that their COVID thing is blowing up in their faces, you can be sure they've got something else cooking. Please be careful. We're going to win this, but not by being overconfident or by being naive. These people didn't end up ruling the planet for no good reason. They're very, very smart. They're very, very evil. They're very, very powerful. But remember, they are concentrated in the group of families who own the Fortune 500 companies. We know who they are. We know where they are. We're going to keep going after them until we have full and total surrender. Thanks. That's it for me. You can see I've got a little bit of a lung thing from the air conditioner, but I'm fine, and I'll be a lot better after the summer. So here's wishing you all a good and restful summer, and we're going to have an autumn that'll probably be the biggest, best autumn offensive yet. Okay, now let's do questions.
Hi, Ben. What about the new Marcos Jr. of the Philippines? Do you think he's one of the bad guys, or is he with some kind of alliance and will not allow the Philippines to turn into a slave nation?
I've heard mostly good things about Marcos, that he's a member of the alliance, that he's going to help the planet. The Philippines, they've for years they've done exactly what the IMF has told them to do, and the result has been very, very bad for the majority of Filipino people. So we're hoping that under Marcos Jr., that country will finally get the prosperity they deserve, and that he is going to be working with the White Hats for a better planet. And that's in friendship and harmony with everybody, including China, India, everybody. It's no more us versus them. We're all on this planet together, and I believe that he's one of the good guys. My sources tell me he is, and now we shall see. The proof will be in his actions. Next question.
As the cost of things in the United States seems to be rising at an increasingly alarming rate, do you think we are going to see gas prices hit $10 in the U.S.?
I think that's a very realistic possibility that it could hit $10. Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia to beg for oil, and he was told to buzz off. He didn't get any, okay? He's using up the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but at the rate he's going, it'll run out by the autumn. So unless there is a regime change in the United States, a fundamental one, then yes, I expect it's very likely to go above $10, and that'll cause ripple effects throughout the economy. So there could be a lot of hardship until we get rid of these criminals who seized your government. Next question.
Ben, you stated that it's a good idea to take your money out of the banks because the financial institutions are going to collapse. What about people that have money in credit unions? Are they unsafe as well?
I think that the federal deposit insurance amount of about $100,000 will be covered by any new government, any new regime. Anything more than that, I don't care what sort of institution it is, you should have something that really exists. So real estate, physical gold, silver, cars, anything that really exists. And I've seen so many times when, numbers on computers became worthless, or, in the past it was pieces of paper. The example I always give is a friend I knew in Argentina who bought a house and 30 acres or hectares, I should say, for 10,000 pesos. A few years later, 10,000 pesos was the price of a pack of cigarettes, but didn't matter to him because he still had the house and 30 hectares. But anybody who had 10,000 pesos in the bank thought that they were set for retirement. Suddenly, they were out in the street begging. So think of that kind of scenario. Don't trust anything to do with the stock market, all that kind of stuff. It's been too dysfunctional for too long. Ditto crypto. I mean, it's just numbers on computers, folks. Let's face it. So yeah, concentrate on the real world. Next question.
Adding to our last question, there seems to be a possibility of a housing market crash as well. What makes you confident in real estate as opposed to other commodities?
Well, you see, say your house is worth $1 million, and then it's worth $100,000. Okay, but you still have the same physical house. You still have the doors, the windows, the garden, the bedrooms. You know what I mean? So it's what you have to, decouple is all these numbers, and forget about the numbers and think about the real thing. Like, is the house comfortable? Is it big enough for your family? It's real. In other words, it'll still be there. Same with a car. If you have the car, you have the car. It'll still drive and it'll get you places. But if you have just numbers in a car stocks, they may be gone. So it's you gotta forget the numbers. It's a giant Babylonian con job. Putting everything in numbers, and then the numbers take on a life of their own as if they are anything except representations of things that really exist. So we're gonna have to have some bean counters come up, go through everything and find out exactly what the whole physical inventory is, and then start the system from that based on things that really exist, so that once again, the financial system and the real economy will be very close together. Not like now where you have literally quadrillions and even bigger numbers in these supercomputers at financial institutions that totally dwarf anything that really exists in the real world. That is going to end. Okay, well, I think that's it for me today. And hopefully I'll be a lot healthier and happier and stronger after my holiday. And I wish you all a good holiday too. And enjoy my pre-recorded talks, and we'll see you in late August. Right, bye for now.